Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in England. Searching for relevance and barred from entry into the United Kingdom, leader of the economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, travels to Nigeria over the weekend where he gave a speech. EFF President Julius Malema addressed the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association in Enugu State on Sunday. Now, Malema called for a unified Africa with one government, one currency, one military, and one parliament during his speech, challenging the dominance of the U.S. dollar. It's fascinating how much the U.S. resides in Juju's mind, rent-free. He condemned xenophobia, emphasizing that unemployment in South Africa stems from systemic economic inequality, not other Africans. And as a general statement, that's true. But what he attributes to is nonsense. We'll get to that in a few moments. Malema called for Nigeria and South Africa to lead Africa's industrialization. South Africa's leading Africa's deindustrialization. It's funny for him to call them leading for industrialization. He says they should focus on collaboration to break their dependency on Western economies. Malema urged African countries to take on the U.S. dollar and President Trump. Why would you want to take on President Trump? What's your beef with President Trump? We didn't bar you from entering the U.S. The UK barred you. You might want to take it up with Whitehall, not with D.C. Malema called for the establishment of a continental government, a currency, and a military, which would directly challenge the hegemony of the U.S. He said, we demand one Africa. We demand a borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament, because we know Africa's currency will be much stronger against the American currency. He lives in a fantasy world. I've lived everywhere in Africa. He is in a delusional world. He continued saying, we don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. Actually, that's untrue. Trump has done an awful lot for Africa. It's just that you're unaware of it because you're ignorant. We're not Trump's subjects. We must refuse to be Trump's subjects. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one and equal to all nations. Well, no, Africa is not equal to all nations because Africa is a continent. It's not a country, and it's not going to be a country in anyone's lifetime. You're delusional. If only Malema really did not care about what Trump had to say. The problem, of course, is that he does care and uses the fake threat of Trump to promote his race hustling agenda throughout South Africa and now around the continent. Malema said to China, Russia, America, we are not just a small nation. We are a big nation. We are not a dark continent. How can we be dark when we have diamonds shining amongst us? We are a shining nation. Now, the ignorance of the economic freedom fighters commander-in-chief is astounding. Africa is called the dark continent, not because there are black folks residing there, but owing to the Greeks not knowing much about the continent below the Sahara and Sahel. It was unknown. In other words, in the dark to them, hence the term l'Afrique noire, which the French use. He spoke at an annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. And there he said, we must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people in Pan-African solidarity. The problem with that is there's been no Pan-African infrastructure. Virtually everything in Africa that's connected countries has been built by the West and now by China or Japan, not by Africans. So when do you take responsibility for your own success? It has yet to occur, 7 decades after independence. He said, both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism. Both have faced internal divisions. Both have endured the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide, exploit, and control us. Both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. Now, of course, neither Nigeria or South Africa actually ever existed as states or nations until colonial powers created them. So how can it be they're trying to divide you? You didn't even exist as nations until the colonial powers created you. So Juju's logic is, as always, flawed. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Yeah, except that the Africans in South Africa have destroyed the country in less than 3 decades. You're not building anything with Nigeria. If only what he says were true. As the Organization of African Union and the African Union have proven time and again, Africa will never unite, and many Africans simply cannot work together. And one of the more interesting aspects of his speech, Malema dismissed xenophobia as a potential hindrance to the Unity Project, warning against its ability to divide the countries. Unfortunately for Malema, xenophobia seems to be all too common in the DNA of many South Africans. Cooperation between Nigeria and South Africa has been uneven and at times marred by suspicion and painful existence of xenophobia. Let's be unequivocal here. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It is a sickness born of poverty, inequality, and government failure. But its victims are African brothers and sisters. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of South Africa's unemployment crisis. Well, here he's correct. But wait till you hear what he has to say. You see, foreigners are not the cause of South Africa's unemployment pandemic. The ANC is the root proximate cause of the misery going on in South Africa. They're the ones who've destroyed the economy and allowed the infrastructure to collapse. It isn't other Africans. But Malema's explanation is nonsense. He says the cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize. No, South Africa was industrialized. You have deindustrialized it. Attacking fellow Africans diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution. So here is Julius Malema in Nigeria professing to be a racist. Where is the South African Human Rights Commission? Calling fellow South Africans whites the enemy. This is a dangerous man who calls for the murder of farmers, and now he's calling all whites the enemy. Of course, he's also said he's not going to call for the murder of them. Not yet. One day he plans to. And no consequences. Where is this so-called South African Human Rights Commission? What a joke it is indeed. Malema here has reverted to form with pathetic race hustling. He was playing to an audience filled with willing race hustling accomplices in the Nigerian bar. Malema says we must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria. In the same way, we do not need a visa for our people to travel on their own continent. We are one. You're one? Really? Then why is there virtually no trade between the two countries? South Africa and Nigeria do virtually no trade between the two. He says, together we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, and innovation. Together we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. I'm sorry, what are those big IT companies from South Africa, from Nigeria? Huawei? No, it's Chinese. Samsung? That's Korean. Motorola? That's American. Ericsson? That's Swedish. Nokia? That's Finnish. I'm sorry, what were these big giants? Computers? Apple? No, American. Asus? Taiwanese. IBM American, Apple American. I'm sorry. Where are these giants of tech in Africa? And education's been destroyed in South Africa. And fair trade, I guess duty-free admission to the U.S. market for 25 years, while South Africa imposes 75% tariffs on our imports to South Africa, isn't fair enough for you. Talk about nonsense. This guy is just speaking gobbledygook. He said we must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic. Oh, but you are. You are, Juju. You as a country are. We love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa. Really? Really? Why not? And are not loved outside Africa. Are you serious? Have you ever met liberals? We have a duty to love ourselves and show the whole world how it can treat us. We cannot treat each other badly and expect other people to treat us much better. Well, on that point, I agree with him. You can't act like an ass and expect people to treat you well. You should act like a grown adult and respect others, Juju, and not be a race hustler and not discriminate against other South Africans for your political gain. So once again, Malema is seeking relevance, this time in Nigeria, mostly because he can't travel to the UK. Oh, I guess somebody wanted to hear what he had to say.